Megachurches across America are about to experience the most catastrophic collapse in modern religious history. What's coming in 2026 isn't just about a few struggling congregations. We're talking about a systemic implosion that will shake millions of Christians to their core. The warning signs have been flashing red for years, but most believers have no idea what's really happening behind the scenes. Financial analysts, investigative journalists, and even some honest church leaders are sounding alarms that can no longer be ignored. The religious empires that defined American Christianity for the past 4 decades are crumbling. And when they fall, the impact will be absolutely devastating. In this video, we're going to expose the 5 shocking reasons why megachurches will collapse in 2026. And I need you to pay close attention because what we're about to reveal affects every Christian who's ever trusted these institutions. Before we dive in, drop a comment below telling me what country you're watching from. I want to see how far this message is spreading across the globe. Now let's start with the first reason, and I'm warning you. What we've discovered about their financial situation is absolutely terrifying. Megachurches across America are drowning in a debt crisis that pastors are desperately hiding. These religious corporations built empires on borrowed money, constructing facilities costing hundreds of millions with auditoriums, coffee shops, and entertainment centers. They look impressive with stadium seating and concert production, but here's the shocking truth. Over $2 billion in church mortgage debt will default in 2026, and many megachurches are so leveraged that one economic downturn could destroy them completely. What makes this dangerous is how it contradicts biblical stewardship. These churches borrowed hundreds of millions based on pre-pandemic attendance, promising lenders they'd collect enough offerings to pay $1 to $2 million monthly. They treat members like customers and worship like a product. But when you owe that much, every decision becomes about money, not ministry. Pastors can't preach hard truths that might drive away donors. The gospel gets diluted into entertainment because challenging messages don't pay mortgages. The real scandal is the deliberate deception. Most megachurches refuse to publish financial statements, operating like private corporations. When members ask questions, they're accused of lacking faith. Reports reveal 70–80% of donations go to buildings, salaries, and debt, less than 20% to actual ministry. Pastors knew this debt was unsustainable but kept building because their egos depended on growth. What's coming in 2026 will devastate millions. Banks are preparing foreclosures. Churches are secretly selling assets and laying off staff. Thousands who tithed faithfully will discover their money-funded luxury and foolish expansion, not ministry. But this financial collapse is just the beginning. It connects directly to something even more catastrophic these megachurches are facing. The debt crisis is only half the problem. These massive facilities are sitting mostly empty while bleeding money every single day. Post-COVID, megachurches never recovered their attendance numbers. Buildings designed for 5,000, 10,000 people now host congregations of 1,500 to 3,000, using barely 30% of their capacity. Yet the bills keep coming. Electricity for massive sanctuaries, air conditioning for tens of thousands of square feet, maintenance for complex audio-visual systems, insurance for multi-million-dollar properties. Monthly operating costs often exceed $300,000, $500,000 just to keep the lights on. What's truly shocking is how these churches are trapped. They can't sell the buildings because they're custom-designed religious facilities with no market value to regular buyers. They can't reduce costs significantly because these mega facilities require full-time staff, security, and maintenance regardless of attendance. The Bible warns against building bigger barns while neglecting what truly matters: discipleship, community, and genuine spiritual formation. These churches chose spectacle over substance, and now they're paying the price. But here's what's even more disturbing. Many megachurches are desperately trying to fill these empty spaces with secular events, concerts, corporate conferences, community activities, anything to generate revenue. They've become event venues that occasionally host church services rather than houses of worship. The mission has been completely compromised. What was supposed to glorify God now exists primarily to justify its own existence and pay its own bills. The irony is painful. Early Christians met in homes, catacombs, and open fields, yet they transformed the Roman Empire. Modern megachurches have state-of-the-art facilities but can't even maintain their own membership. This reveals a fundamental truth about what actually builds God's kingdom, and it's not impressive buildings. But the empty seats and crushing costs are symptoms of an even deeper crisis that's driving people away permanently. While megachurches struggle with debt and empty buildings, an entire generation is walking away and never coming back. Current data shows that 40% of Generation Z has completely rejected organized religion, and megachurches are being hit hardest. Young people aren't just switching churches, they're abandoning institutional Christianity altogether. They've watched scandal after scandal, celebrity pastors with multiple affairs, financial fraud, abuse cover-ups, political manipulation. Every month brings new headlines about fallen megachurch leaders, and each scandal destroys credibility that can never be recovered. What makes this exodus particularly devastating is that it's not about theology, it's about authenticity. Gen Z can detect performative Christianity instantly. They see pastors preaching humility while driving luxury cars. They watch churches spend millions on buildings while ignoring homeless people outside. They witness the gap between Sunday morning messages and Monday morning actions. The Bible teaches that faith without works is dead, but these young people see works without genuine faith, just religious performance designed to extract money and maintain institutions. The trust destruction goes even deeper. Megachurches relied on charismatic celebrity pastors to draw crowds, but when those leaders fall, the entire system collapses. Unlike traditional churches built on community and discipleship, megachurches are personality cults. When the personality fails, there's nothing substantial left. Young people watched their parents defend these fallen leaders, make excuses, and stay loyal to institutions rather than truth. This hypocrisy pushed them away permanently. Here's what megachurch leaders don't understand. Gen Z values authenticity over production quality, community over crowds, and action over words. They'd rather meet in a living room with genuine believers than sit in a stadium with thousands of strangers watching a performance. This generational shift is permanent and irreversible. But the loss of young people isn't the only reason these churches are collapsing. There's an even more explosive truth being exposed right now. The foundation of most megachurches, the prosperity gospel, is being systematically exposed as a complete fraud. For decades, celebrity pastors promised that faithful giving would result in financial blessings, health, and success. They twisted scripture to convince people that God wanted them wealthy, that poverty was a curse, and that tithing was a guaranteed investment with miraculous returns. Millions of Christians gave sacrificially, believing their gifts would both support ministry and trigger divine blessing. But people are finally discovering the devastating truth. Investigative journalism and insider testimonies have revealed the massive wealth these pastors accumulated while their congregations struggled. Private jets, multiple mansions, luxury cars worth hundreds of thousands, designer clothes, exclusive vacations, all funded by donations from people who could barely pay rent. The most shocking cases involve pastors with net worths exceeding $50–100 million while teaching their members to sow seed offerings and expect harvest. The Bible explicitly warns that those who teach for profit and exploit believers with false promises are false teachers leading people to destruction. What's even more disturbing is how the financial manipulation actually works. Megachurches use high-pressure tactics, emotional manipulation, and even psychological techniques borrowed from sales training to extract maximum donations. Special miracle offerings, building campaigns with matching gifts from anonymous donors who may not exist, prophetic words declaring that God will bless those who give right now. It's spiritual abuse disguised as faith. When people don't receive the promised blessings, they're told their faith was insufficient or they had secret sin blocking their breakthrough. The blame always falls on the giver, never the false teacher. The illusion is crumbling because too many believers gave everything and received nothing. Families went into debt believing God would supernaturally pay it off. People delayed medical treatment believing healing would come through faith and giving. The prosperity gospel created a generation of financially devastated Christians who now question everything they were taught. This mass disillusionment is destroying megachurches from within. But there's one final reason these institutions are collapsing that goes beyond finances, attendance, or scandals. It's about divine judgment itself. Everything we've discussed, the debt crisis, empty buildings, generational exodus, prosperity gospel fraud, points to one unavoidable conclusion. What's happening to megachurches isn't just economic or sociological. It's divine judgment on religious empires that replaced genuine Christianity with corporate entertainment and replaced making disciples with building kingdoms for men rather than God. The Bible declares that judgment begins with the house of God, and we're witnessing that judgment unfold in real time. These megachurches stopped being churches decades ago. They became businesses selling religious experiences, corporations focused on growth metrics and revenue streams, entertainment venues competing for market share. Sunday services are productions designed by marketing teams. Sermons are motivational speeches tested for audience response. Worship is a concert opening act. Membership is a customer loyalty program. Everything that makes the church actually the church, authentic community, biblical teaching that transforms, costly discipleship, accountability, spiritual formation, was systematically removed and replaced with what draws crowds and generates income. What makes this judgment particularly severe is that these institutions claim to represent God while doing the exact opposite of what Jesus taught. Christ said his kingdom is not of this world, but megachurches built worldly empires. He said the greatest among you must be servant of all, but celebrity pastors lived like kings. He said you cannot serve God and money, but these churches made money their obvious master. They used God's name, quoted scripture, and claimed divine authority while building monuments to human ego and accumulating wealth that would make Pharisees blush. This isn't just failure, it's blasphemy. The collapse of 2026 will be remembered as the moment when God's patience with these false religious systems ran out. Buildings will be foreclosed, pastors will be exposed, congregations will scatter, and millions will question everything they believed. But here's what many will miss. This isn't the end of the church, it's the purification of the church. God is destroying what men built so that what he intended can finally emerge. The true church was never about buildings, budgets, or celebrity leaders. It was always about everyday believers living authentically, loving sacrificially, and making disciples who actually follow Jesus rather than follow religious entertainment. The collapse of megachurches in 2026 isn't just a financial crisis, it's a spiritual reckoning. These religious corporations chose buildings over people, entertainment over discipleship, and money over ministry. They built empires on debt, deception, and false teaching, and now the entire system is imploding. But here's what you need to understand. When these institutions fall, it doesn't mean the church is dying. It means God is purifying his church, removing what men built so that authentic Christianity can finally emerge. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, comment below and tell me which of these 5 reasons shocked you the most, and don't forget to include your country so we can see how global this conversation is. Second, if this video opened your eyes to the truth about megachurches, smash that like button and share this with every Christian you know. People need to hear this before it's too late. Third, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell because we're going to keep exposing false teachings and revealing biblical truth that most pastors won't talk about. Don't let the collapse of 2026 catch you unprepared. Stay informed, stay grounded in Scripture, and remember, the true church was never about buildings or celebrity pastors. It's about genuine believers following Jesus together. God bless you, and stay alert.